Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's worth your time and bandwidth. Today's game is God of War Ghost of Sparta. The second PSP game made by ReadyatDawn is also one of the most ambitious PSP games ever made. Does Ghost of Sparta hold up today? God of War Ghost of Sparta was released on PSP as mentioned, and an HD version was put on PS3. Similar to Chains of Olympus, this game was available via PlayStation. Now, when they switched to PS Plus, they took it off, so the only way to currently play it is on original hardware or via the E-word, but regardless, the game will take you around 7 to 8 hours to get through. So what exactly is God of War Ghost of Sparta? Well, similar to the rest of the games in the series, it is a third-person action game, so if you've seen any of the other reviews, you probably are getting tired of me explaining what it is, so let's get to what's actually different. First off, the story. Like all of ReadyatDawn's God of War spin-offs, they focus more on Kratos as a character rather than an enormous overarching plot. Ghost of Sparta takes place between God of War 1 and 2, where a now god Kratos discovers his brother Deimos, who was stolen by the gods when Kratos was just a boy, is actually still alive, whisked away by Thanatos, the god of death. The other gods obviously aren't super into Kratos digging up this relic of his past, but he's determined to anyway, and thus sets off to find his brother and amend lost wrongs. In terms of locations, God of War is extremely ambitious, leaning heavily into interesting real or real-ish locations such as Atlantis, which, yes, you do sink it, Sparta, and the lands of the dead. The story also does a great job humanizing Kratos as well as setting the stage for why he hates the gods so much, considering what they have done to his family, which greatly helps that transition between God of War 1 and 2. In terms of combat, there are a few unique additions here. The first big one is the ability to add fire to Kratos' blade by holding R1, which will exhaust a recharging meter. Fire not only does more damage, but it also pierces armored enemies, requiring some more combat awareness. The second is the single additional weapon, a shield and a spear, and is one of the few secondary weapons in this franchise that I feel is actually worth using. The shield can block projectiles, and the spear is a free ranged option a la God of War 3, meaning I actually use the secondary weapons in this game. Combat is also much improved, probably because this game came out after God of War 3, and this one has a larger variety of enemies than the previous PSP game, as well as larger scope overall. And honestly, there's not much more to say here. It is more God of War, just slightly trimmed down for the PSP, though not nearly as much as Chains of Olympus, with some really great story moments, interesting combat improvements, and oh yeah, this game looks really good. So what did I like about God of War Ghost of Sparta? Well, as mentioned, this game's combat feels absolutely incredible, with the inclusion of just one extra weapon that's actually useful, the fire imbue ability, and the new magic feeling just really good. This, God of War 2, and God of War 3 all just feel fantastic. Secondly, this game looks absolutely mind-blowing on a PSP, but even the HD version on PS3 still looks very good, which helps that it's paired with some fantastic set pieces, action segments, and just bombastic spectacle that feels just as good as its console counterpart. And lastly, this might be my favorite God of War story out of all the old school God of War games, with the focus on Kratos and his relationship with his brother and mother the centerpiece, and it really allows for some depth into Kratos' character that you don't get much in the other games. When it comes to the bad, despite its improvements, this game definitely still feels a little watered down when compared to its console counterparts, even if it is a bit closer than the previous one. Additionally, this still has some ReadyatDawn jank here, with some button prompts not showing up when you expect, some wonky platforming, and a few frustrating elements. And lastly, and this is me reaching a bit, this game and Chains of Olympus are currently impossible to play legally on modern systems because Sony took all of the collection down. Not being able to play the game, I'd say, is a pretty big negative, so Sony, maybe you should, bring this back, please? As you know, our games here on a 3-point scale, must play, maybe consider, don't bother. I think you should absolutely play Ghost of Sparta, and it is an overlooked game in the franchise, and thus a hidden gem. Ghost of Sparta might be my second favorite of the old school God of War games, no joke. I feel like with this one, ReadyatDawn leaned into what they are good at, telling an excellent story with Kratos, paired with some fantastic combat and very engaging set pieces. Ghost of Sparta provides everything I want out of a God of War game, and in spades. It's really a shame that a lot of people overlooked this one because it was only on the PSP, so if you like this franchise, make sure you play this one any way that you can. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you played God of War Ghost of Sparta, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious who else has engaged with this game, but regardless, go out there and find a way to play it.